वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणे हरे कृष्णा. So today we see verse number 20. So Krishna has explained about the Kshetra, Kshetragya and Jayam, which were the questions from Arjuna. And Arjuna's another question in the beginning of the 13th chapter was Prakriti Purusham Chaiva. That's how he started. Arjuna's question actually started from there. Prakriti Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetrajnam Evacha. So Krishna explained the other three parts. Now in this verse, Krishna will start explaining about Prakriti and Purusha. So let's see this verse. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva.
Prakritim Purusham Chaiva
Vidya Vidhi Anadi Ubhavapi
Vidyanadi Ubhavapi
Vikaramscha Gunamschaiva
Vikarangsha Gunanshaiva
Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan.
Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan.
So please chant.
Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidyanadi Ubhavapi Vikarangsha Gunanshaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan.
Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi Anadi Ubhavapi Vikaramscha Gunamschaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan.
Okay. Translation and purport. Material nature and living entities, Prakriti and Purusha, should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Purport. By the knowledge given in this chapter, one can understand the body, field of activities, the knower of the body, both the individual soul and the super soul. The body is the field of activity and is composed of material nature. The individual soul that is embodied and enjoying the activities of the body is the Purusha or the living entity. He is one knower and the other is super soul. Of course, it is to be understood that both super soul and the individual entity are different manifestations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The living entity is in the category of his energy and the super soul is in the category of his personal expansion. Anybody will like to read the purport? If possible. Okay.
Both material nature and the living entity are eternal. That is to say that they existed before the creation. The material manifestation is from the energy of the Supreme Lord, and so also are the living entities. But the living entities are of the superior energy. Both the living entities and the material nature existed before this cosmos was manifested. Material nature was observed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu. And when it was required, it was manifested by the agency of the Mahatattva. Similarly, the living entities are also in him, and because they are conditioned, They are averse to serving the Supreme Lord. Thus, they are not allowed to enter into the spiritual sky. But with the coming forth of material nature, these living entities are again given a chance to act in the material world and prepare themselves to enter into the spiritual world. That is the mystery of this material creation. Actually, the living entity is originally the spiritual part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. But due to his rebellious nature, he is conditioned within material nature. It really does not matter how these living entities or superior entities of the Supreme Lord have come in contact with material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead knows, however, how and why this actually took place. In the scriptures, the Lord says that those attracted by the material nature are undergoing a hard struggle of existence. But we should know it with certainty from the description of these few verses, that all transformation and the influences of material nature by the three modes are also productions of material nature. All transformations and variety in respect to living entities are due to the body. As far as the spirit is concerned, living entities are all the same. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you very much. So this verse and purport is very clear, I think. And actually this question comes to everybody. So many times this question is asked. If the living entity and material nature, what Prakruti, they are eternal. Actually, when it started, many times people ask this question. So what is definition of eternal? Eternal, we say the things which are eternal when we cannot trace the beginning point of this. So we cannot trace out the beginning point of any living entity or jiva when he came in contact with this material nature, or how. It's not possible to trace. So it is eternal. So Arjuna's this question is actually like, okay, in the body, there are two kshetragya, say individual soul and super soul. And okay, before this verse, Krishna explained, okay, super soul is eternal, spiritual. Individual soul is also, but it is conditioned. So we important is to understand that what exactly is the conditioned state. So in simple language, if I say I am say Indian, when I say I am Indian, I am born in India. Right. So when I'm born in India, this body, my thinking process, my intelligence, everything is working as per my samskars in India. Samskar means the way I was brought up. So how I was brought up? I was brought up as per the Indian culture and Indian process, Indian method. So my thinking is also like that. Not only my thinking, but my say body structure, or say my color, say my eating habits, everything is as per India. And so even if I staying in Japan for say 10-15 years, still I am not completely converted into Japanese because of my eating habits and other things remain same. Similarly, if a Japanese person, even if he stays in India for 20 years, his body will not change, at least color. Structure may change, but base structure remains same, but other body changes can be there. But the thinking process, eating habits, difficult to adjust as per the local. So for Indian, it's difficult to adjust to Japanese style of eating. For a Japanese, very difficult to adjust to complete Indian style. So this is what we call a condition. So myself, or I am conditioned to Indian thinking, Indian living. So this is what we call condition. So even if I come to Japan, I may prefer to eat Indian food. I may like Japanese food, but I may prefer Indian food. So if I eat Japanese food for 2 weeks, then automatically I will be attracted or I will want to eat Indian food because that is my conditioning. And when I take that, then I feel happy or I feel good. So this is what we call conditioned. So in this we discussed at level of individual soul, but if we take individual soul or myself, what I am saying, but if we take overall living entities, they are conditioned to this material life. So material life means what says it, prakriti. In the material elements, we saw the 24 material elements, how this material nature is made, right? That is the field of activity. Okay. And then we saw the different transformations of what we say emotions or feelings, uh, pain, happiness, all this we saw. Right? So these are, we said, knowledge. Uh, so all these transformations happen because of the modes of material nature. So what are modes? Like that is the Mahatattva, we say, passion, ignorance, and goodness. So there will be one chapter, there is chapter 17 in modes of nature also there, and faith in modes of nature. So modes of nature is an important topic, Prakriti, because everything works with that. uh, and the changes of Prakriti happen with the modes. So actually modes are driving all these changes. So Krishna says, Vikaramsha Gunaschaiva. So whatever changes happen are happening because of the guna, modes of material nature. So actually modes of material nature drive this material world, including us. So in one way, Arjuna, Krishna is telling Arjuna, okay, this living entity or jiva, or what we say individual soul, and prakriti, they are both driven by the gunas, but there is a lot of difference between them. Jiva is my superior energy, because jiva is the marginal energy. If the jiva wants to increase or change his consciousness and intelligence, then he can transfer to spiritual intelligence, or he can go to the material intelligence. So the jiva has the chance to elevate himself. So the jiva is superior to the material nature, and the jiva, as purusha, individual purusha, can enjoy the material elements. So though they are working under gunas, they are different. And jivas have capacity, much more capacity and consciousness. So from this verse, actually, we should understand, anybody should understand the origin. That origin, I mean, I'm not saying the origin when it started. I'm saying our original position. The individual soul is not part of this material world or prakriti. He is something superior, because he has the free will and he has the intelligence and capacity to overcome this. So when we say spirituality, then that is different from religiosity, right? So spirituality is the spiritual process, or spiritual understanding, or a goal which is beyond this material nature. So the jiva, being originally beyond this material nature, he has capacity to understand it. So how this can be done? Krishna is explained in the last chapter by bhakti. By bhakti to the Supreme Lord, actually we can uh, enlighten ourselves by the divine consciousness and go beyond the material nature. It is possible for the jiva, but maybe not possible for the material nature, because it has to exist eternally. either in the manifested form or unmanifested form in the Mahavishnu, but it will be there. So Jiva still they are conditioned because of their desires and so much entanglement and attachments. They will be manifested sometimes unmanifested in Mahavishnu, but they will also keep existing. So what is the origin, from when it started? These questions are secondary. The main point is, okay, we are already into here, we are already into this Prakriti, and the only way is, instead of looking back at the origin, only way is to look forward, how we can overcome this state of conditioning by elevating our consciousness. So that is Krishna is telling in this chapter also that uh, the living entity should understand its own position. That's why Arjuna has asked this question, to make the things very clear, that no Bhakti Yoga chapter is finished, but still all this knowledge is helpful for doing the bhakti. So if I am superior to the material nature, I should not think at the level of material nature. I should think beyond it, by my original position of the soul. So ultimately, these chapters also help us to increase our focus towards the superior nature, which is the spiritual nature. So from this verse onwards, Krishna will be explaining about the Prakriti. Because of Prakriti, what happens? What is living entity actually doing here, and how it gets entangled on itself? So Krishna will explain this in the next few verses. So these are the answers to Arjuna's question about Prakriti and Jiva. So let us see the next verse about more, which will give more details about these transformations and entanglement. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So any other points that we can discuss, or anybody can highlight on this part? Our superior nature actually we can experience. How we can experience is we can change. So if I say I want to watch a movie, so the movie itself, the phone, the movie created, it's pure material nature. It's pure the elements like machines and all. But I can choose if I want to watch or not watch. At this moment, I may decide I want to watch, but at the next moment, I may say, no, I don't want to watch. I will sleep, or I will read something else instead of spending time here. So that is what we call a superior nature, because we have the choice. So that's how we can actually experience that in our day-to-day life. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Let's see more details tomorrow.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for joining.